channel. So this video is about a project that I think is going to be a 50x gem in the next cycle, but I'm also going to review the projects that were 50x gems in the last cycle, specifically Solana, because I still see a lot of videos talking about Solana. So what I want to do is just use data, use an unbiased take on it, because I typically, before I invest in something, the biggest factor to me is, are there developers and is it getting traction? Is it getting adopted? All right, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to go to DeFi Llama and we're going to look at total value locked. Well, for some reason, like, even though Solana is being hyped like crazy, we can see at its peak it had about $10 billion in locked. You know, when we say locked, lock is not correct, because obviously the money could leave the system. So it's just money that's in the ecosystem. But one of the problems with this is you could do double accounting. You can have money at one place and then that could be someone else's debt, and then that could be someone else's debt. So that's like recounting money. So it wouldn't be a real value for how much is in the ecosystem. But you can trust numbers at the bottom of the cycle more, because there's been a lot of defaults, etc. So anyways, at the top you could see it said 10 billion, but look at how much this thing has fallen, and it's not been able to keep any value in its ecosystem from the start of March 2021. So that means we went all the way to March 2022, and we're approaching March 2023. So in 2 years' time, it has not been able to capture any value in its ecosystem. And so and we know that a lot of this was double accounting, but let's just leave that to the side. So we see the biggest total value locked projects in here, or the total value in the Solana ecosystem, is liquid staking. So that is basically just accounting its own market cap. This is accounting. This doesn't really count. This doesn't really matter, because this is basically just staked tokens in the ecosystem. So this is people betting on the future. This is not people using it. This is people. This is just a token being accounted for value, its own token being counted in its ecosystem. So this is the first real value that we could see is these dexes, right? And we could see that's about 100 million there, which is not bad. You know, there's 100 million, but keep in mind that this is one of the biggest projects, but it has one. You know, it wasn't capable of keeping any of this value. Okay, so that is just from the value locked. So let's go to another metric here. We're going to go look at DApp Radar. We're going to see who's really adopted in crypto. Now, here's another thing to consider. No one has adoption in crypto. No one. But the top projects, even with how pathetically low we are at adoption right now, which is, like 250,000, that's like no one. So hardly anyone uses crypto. No, hardly anyone uses. We're speculating on the future here. And you guys know I'm very bullish. If you've been following my channel, I'm very bullish on this technology. This technology is going to be a $400 trillion space, but it's like the early internet. It's not really adopted yet, but people do understand that it has a future, and that's why these things can have inflated values. Anyways, we can see that the most adoption is Wax and BNB chain, and we know that Wax it hasn't been a performer, even though it's been one of the most adopted projects. So it doesn't seem that even having 250,000 followers, they had this big drop off, but you can see here it hasn't performed strongly against Ethereum or Bitcoin. It's mostly sideways dollar action. You may have had an opportunity buying the dip here to be up on your Ethereum, but it has not been a performer. And it's got a market cap of 133 million, even though it is Wax and BNB are the number one apps, the number one most used blockchain. So we can safely say that there's something strange about how these projects, the most adopted, if we're going by the metric of what is adopted, well, it hasn't affected price yet. And even so, I'd still say these numbers are pathetic. I'd say that pretty much no blockchain has adoption at this point, even with 250,000, because that's very low. Okay. So that is that. Now let's take a look at the Ethereum ecosystem, which is the top dog. Now Ethereum top users has about 20,000, 10,000, 9,000. That is pathetically low. But still, like, that is one of the more adopted blockchains. And you can see the types of volume that are associated with those followers. For 10,000 people, you got $10 billion or about $6 billion moving through Uniswap. And, here's another one, 7, which is about 200,000. So people are using small amounts on that one, this marketplace, probably NFTs, right? So you can see, looking at Ethereum, we could still see pathetically low adoption, but Ethereum is the network of blockchains. It is in a unique place because it's connected to like pretty much everything. And even with it being connected to everything, very pathetic numbers, okay? So now let's take a look at Solana, which is being touted. Like, you'll listen to a lot of channels, and they'll tout it as this, so adopted. Oh, Solana is so adopted. Take a look. These numbers are similar to Ethereum's. But one of the things I did notice, like, this is a DeFi app, and it's got no volume, which is crazy. So this might be fake numbers here. Now, it's possible their API is wrong. That's entirely possible as well. But these numbers do not look the same as Ethereum. So take that for what it's worth. It's possible that they're faking numbers, just the way they were with total value locked. We know that we don't know who the players are in this ecosystem. But, it's also possible these are real numbers and it's the same as Ethereum. But once again, I'd consider both of them not really adopted. And Ethereum actually charges for its fees. This one doesn't. So that's probably why Ethereum's higher, because Ethereum actually charges more because it has that network position and it can get away with it. I don't think Solana could get away with charging more. And then here's the protocol I like that is pretty much, this is 1/25th of the market cap of Solana, but it has, what do we have here? So it has about the same numbers in adoption, as its market cap. So it looks like this one is parallel with that as well, because it's got about 500 people using StealthSwap. And the reason I like this one is because they're just activating their concentrated liquidity. So that's a pretty cool thing with that one. But the reason why I like this protocol, Moonbeam specifically, is because the creator of the Ethereum, Solidity, wrote the security layer for Moonbeam, which is Polkadot. Polkadot is the security layer for Moonbeam. So, and this is up and running and it runs like Ethereum. So the reason I like it is because it's the Ethereum virtual machine on top of the security layer of the guy who made Solidity. And that's, and so it also has something called, I'm not going to go too much into that ecosystem because I don't want to talk too much about Polkadot in this video. And that's not the gem I'm going to talk about, as I mentioned earlier, either. We'll get to that in a minute. But the reason I like this one is because it's web of blockchains, and it's going to be the Ethereum virtual environment by the guy who made Ethereum. All right, so and we can see the market cap of this is very low. It's got a 200 million, whereas this one has 8 billion, and and Ethereum is at like 200 billion right now. So, it could be that could potentially be one of those projects. So now here is Solana's biggest dApp, right? So going back to Solana is this Magic Eden. This is the now once again, this is the project being touted as the project with the most adoption, and it's going to run the world's stocks, etc. And this is its number one app. This is what people are doing. This is the number one thing on this app, Magic Eden. People are trading this stuff. Does this look like the future of the world stock market to you? Does this look like the future of equities? Who knows? It might be, because it is early stage. It is entirely possible. But this is what the number one use case is. To me, that just is. It just proves how early we are with blockchain. And the future is going to be bright for maybe another ecosystem. It might not even be the top one. Well, here's my guess. Okay, this is what I'm going with. This is one of the projects that I think has that chance. This is Radix. And if you look at RadFi and you watch their videos, you would understand why I would take that perception. But one of the biggest reasons is we all know that in this blockchain space, you have a lot of projects that are constantly rebuilding the same things, and there's a million different tokens for services that don't really need a token. Well, this one allows for you to wrap your code in a fee structure that allows for me to be, as a programmer, to write code and then wrap it into a fee structure to where I don't need a token. And that way I could just write code, and as that code gets used, that code could be rented, or it could give out its services for some rate, and I won't need a token. I could just keep writing code. This one allows for that. This one also has a lot of modularity and atomic composability, which is something that no one else has. That means it's instantaneous communication across its multi-sharded architecture. So that means that what does that mean to you as to an investor or a user? It means it's going to be extremely fast. It's going to have all the dApps when it goes live. It's going to go live this year. So this is the one I would pick. This is the one, I have about 10 years experience in the crypto space. I've done 2,000% returns, what that average of 2x per year over that 10 years. So, I was started as a farm boy, and then I became financially independent through crypto. So I try to look for these patterns, and this is one of the ones that I would think would be the 50x to 100x. In the next cycle. This is going to be the one that might pull it off, that 50x, and it's right at the bottom of the page, but it's going to be live, and I just like the way it's structured. I think that it'll get rid of these tokens. You won't need a million different tokens. You can just write your code, and then that code could automatically be tied to its charging rates, and also it's got it much better. They went down the stack in programming. There's layers, and they went down the whole stack and fixed everything from the bottom up. So it has that benefit as well. And that was one of the benefits that people talked about in Solana, is that it went down the stack as well. And it went against the Ethereum virtual machine has won everything narrative. And so this is one of those that does that as well. But it'll plug right in with that kind of stuff. All right, so let's go back. Now, one of the reasons you might have seen that I am bullish on another project is Polkadot, even though I said Radix is one of the projects that I'm most bullish on. But I like to see where the development is, and where the top development projects is Polkadot and Kusama. Decentraland doesn't have any users, but Decentraland does have developers. So it's Cardano, and you could go down the line. But we don't see on this list. We do not see Solana, except for way down here at the bottom. Once again, people keep touting this as being one of the most developer friendly, but I'm not seeing the developers. It's way down here at the bottom, and it's right here with Lisk, which is another project. Maybe Lisk is undervalued, because it's like Lisk is like 1/20th that of Solana, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. But anyways, like this one has been, these have been the top two for development consistently. Once again, written by the guy who wrote Ethereum, which is the top blockchain. And we can see that this is where a lot of development went. So let that be what it is. All right, and so that is just my analysis for now. You can see that Radix is way down here. This is the one that I'm going to be particularly bullish on in the cycle. I think it has a lot of potential. But obviously there's, taking a diversified approach, everything's risky, nothing's guaranteed, always show caution. And, maybe I'm wrong about Solana. Maybe it, people do say it has developers and then, et cetera. But what I aim to do here is just be unbiased, look at the data. We see that it, from everything I reviewed here, and try to make conclusions based on logic and reason, not based on what we invested in, not what we're holding. You will get a big narrative about Solana because there's a lot of big VCs that want to push it. And I'm not sure why they want to do that yet. It might, because it seems like a lot of the relationships in that network have broken apart. Maybe they want to exit. And even a huge huge percentage of the supply is held by Alameda still. So, these are things to think about. But once again, there are legitimate people, like there's skilled people that are in that ecosystem. So, but I just wanted to put out the contradictory viewpoint because all you'll see is positive stuff about it. So that's all I was aiming to do. All right, later guys.